you do have a real sense of the time and the change with kids from Children at the Well. Because about 2 weeks ago, I was over at the Friends Society at a program they had on racism that was also co-sponsored with the Interfaith Story Circle. And this young guy came in with a SUNY jacket on, and he had a little light beard on. And he said, "Hi, Mr. Doolittle." And I looked at him, and I looked at him again. And then I said, "Hello, Retham," because it took me a minute, because I don't expect this young person that I met when he was probably 13, maybe 12.
Maybe came up to your shoulder.
And here he is with a beard, you know what I'm saying? And there he was with this big sedge on his face, and it was still Retham, but he was an adult, kind of, you know? And that's kind of what happens to your kids, you know?
I'm sure you know what, yeah.
Are we going to start talking about?
Yes, we're back to you.
We do have a few more new things to talk about before.
Let's talk.
Which do you think?
17 more minutes, is that right? Yeah.
Okay. So
New things.
New things. Well, one of the very nice new things is that I was invited this year to come out to San Francisco to be part of convening a conference that is part of the Brave New Voices Network. And we are now part of the Brave New Voices Network, which is a loosely organized group of programs all over the country where people are working with young people, helping them to develop their voice, their identity, their civic engagement. And I'm so proud of that connection.
And that's really a great thing to kind of have the point of reference and leverage for what you do, both nationally, because that goes locally too, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So, and that's one of the many things Children at the Well has been invited to over the years. It's not, you go out to Nazareth College, there's a...
Yeah.
There's a meeting there.
Oh, would you like me to talk?
Well, no, I just wanted to say this isn't the first time this program has been honored beyond this area.
No, we've presented at the Tide Conference of Youth Lead in Sharon, Mass., and the Global Citizenship Conference there in Nazareth College. And that was all on our own dime. They gave me plane tickets,
Yes, and you've presented at the New England Storytelling Conference.
Yeah,
Lane's.
at Lane's. That was wonderful.
Sharing the fire.
Sharing the fire.
And at the National Storytelling Conference.
Yes, we presented there, and actually Ben and I are planning to go back this summer and talk about one more thing that's on our new agenda, which is developing a guide to help other people in other parts of the country start their own similar program.
Great.
And
That's great.
we're missing it. Oh, Connecticut Storytelling Festival, the Clearwater Festival. We've been to the Mohegan Storytelling and Music Festival. Yeah. And let's see, we also have we're bringing in younger coaches this year, and I thought Allison could talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
So I mean the other side of 55 or something?
Yeah.
Other side. So this year there are 3 main coaches. Nancy and Mickey are the older coaches, and then Ben Russell, who was a participant who we've mentioned on this show today, is now a full coach, which is great. And Ben recently graduated from SUNY, which I will talk more about in a minute. So he is definitely on the younger end of things, and I think it's really cool because he gives kind of a fresh energy, and the young people have a different way of relating to him.
Right.
That's really interesting. And then there are 2 assistant coaches, myself and a woman named Danielle, who she works for the Girls and Boys Club in Troy and does a lot with theater and storytelling and sort of along the same lines. And it's been really fun to have a big team of people working on this. There's a sense that we're all that we're all looking out for the overview of what the young people need and how to best serve them, and that there are a lot of people sort of participating in that project together. So it's been really cool.
Yeah.
It takes a village.
Yeah, absolutely.
of different age groups.
I think it takes a village to mentor young people, and most young people don't get a village. They get maybe a person, maybe no one. So it's pretty cool.
And out of Brave New,
I just love all this. This is so cool.
well, it's really kind of neat to think about Ben being part of the faculty. If you-
Well, I remember Ben. He was he was a middle schooler when he started.
Couldn't stand still, right?
Yeah.
Be talking.
yeah.
Well, he still can't.
You still can't get. You still can't.
But he can tell a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Got a good heart.
Ben is the first one we were going to talk about in terms
Yeah.
of profile.
So Ben Russell is an original Children at the Well participant. He's been participating since 2006, so that's almost the full 10 years through high school graduation. And Ben has been an intern and an assistant coach, and this year he became a full story coach, as I just said. He graduated from SUNY Albany in December with honors and with a double major in religious studies and philosophy. Ben said, in reference to Children at the Well, Children at the Well's focus on culture and religion changed the course of my life. In Children at the Well, I became fascinated with the different cultures and different beliefs I was being introduced to. I began to read everything about other religions I could, and I began to study my own culture as well. As he applies to graduate programs, Ben will be working as a substitute Sunday school teacher at Temple Israel in Albany.
Good for
And
him.
he's a great addition to the team.
He is truly extraordinary, and he's fun to be around. I mean, we'll just have to stay tuned and see what the soup really tastes like when he's finished with his education and stuff. Yeah, great. And I remember the three in the story too, because they were all small when I first met them, when they had been in the story. And several years later, I invited them to do a program at my church. And Rethan was telling the story, and I asked him if he knew where he was. And he looked around, and then he realizes, this was the place. And I said, and you're still here? He says, I'm still here, but Ben's not. And the Muslim, Kalafala, was the same Kalafala, but he had grown to be 5'10" instead of 5'2". So it was just a whole different, and that was a great presentation, and we got to go out, and I remember just reflecting what a great day it was, and I was sitting with those three young people having burritos in a Mexican restaurant in Schenectady. It was just great kids. And now I think about who other alumni, what other lives do you want to share stories about?
Another person who is a graduate of Children at the Well is Ada Hetko, who we also spoke about briefly, who's actually Paula's daughter. She is or perhaps the Children at the Well original. In her years at Oberlin College, she committed the volunteer hours for her community service scholarship to pursuing more interfaith work. She organized the first Friendship Day Festival and Oberlin's first Interfaith Service Day, an event inspired by the Obama administration. She received the Barrows Medal for Interfaith Leadership upon her graduation. Like Ben, her academic life was influenced by Children at the Well. She wrote, "The experience of exploring stories, delving into their meanings, and shaping their delivery was too good to let go." She's worked at Vassar College's Office of Religious and Spiritual Life as their interreligious fellow for 2 years. There, she's organized many events, taught a storytelling workshop, led a story circle, and used story less formally. And specifically about Children at the Well, she says, "By teaching me how to share stories among diverse community, Children at the Well has shown me how to take risks and reach out to others, knowing that we are strengthened by our differences and that we each carry unfathomable insight."
Wow, she must have had great parents.
Thank you, Sean.
I have a story about Ada very briefly. I was at the National Storytelling Festival 3 or 4 years ago. She was doing a summer at Oberlin, and the meeting was in Cincinnati. And she came down to the National Storytelling session, and we met in the hotel lobby, and I said, well, it's okay. I know a lot of these people. I'll introduce you around. So I started to introduce her. And then the minute she got in conversation, well, she just kind of took off on that conversation to another conversation. And she left Uncle Joe behind. She didn't need anybody to go around and introduce her. She was just going to go and create her own little network, which she did quite well.
Yeah, and I think I ran into her at the beginning, and do you need any help? And I introduced her to somebody, and again, and 3 days later I said, you're doing okay.
Thank you both for looking out for her.
Right.
And then we come to John Lydon. John didn't start the very first year. I think it was the second year. But he ended up making a film connected with Children at the Well. John Lydon graduated from the College of St. Rose last year with a degree in communication with concentration in film and new media. And he says, Children at the Well opened doors for me in many ways. One of those ways was learning to think like a storyteller, which he used and developed to great advantage in making a film about us called Stepping Toward the Lion, which he completed in 2013. The film took first prize in the student category of the Peace on Earth Film Festival in Chicago last March, a year ago. John wrote, the program gave me what I had longed for, friendship, purpose, an understanding of who I am and what my abilities are, and a deep understanding of the concept of humans being basically connected no matter how different our backgrounds are.
Yeah.
He got quite a bit out of his experience with us.
Well, and that's such a remarkable story of someone, I think, who's kind of a deep stream. There's a lot to John, like many of your kids. And I wasn't aware that he was as accomplished a musician as he was, because he was on his way. At one point, I bumped into him in an airport with his father, and he was going to Ireland to play in a piping competition or
Really?
something. Yeah, just kind of like, by the way, we're going over to Ireland to this competition. And so it's incredible focus for him to kind of pick up on the message of the group and translate it into the story of the Muslim kid being bullied. I mean, it's a good story, and it's in that new media stuff. So I'm in awe of all your kids, because they've been, I think, just wonderful examples of kind of what the next generation is going to be like. So.
And the next one?
Then we have Kalafala Osman,
Kalafala.
who, like John, he came to us, I think, the second year. And in college, he became an assistant coach for us. And then his time just got way too busy, and he had to drop it. But he's now a student of political science with a concentration in public law and business at SUNY Albany. He's the president of the UAlbany Muslim Association. He's working to establish the first Muslim fraternity in the capital region. He's a past president of the Muslim Community Center youth group, which promotes community service programs along with mentoring a lot of young Muslims with the intent of guiding them to a competent and successful future. He's also been involved in countless interfaith events in the capital region and elsewhere along the way. He always volunteers when we need somebody, and last time I saw him, he was at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, is that
Right, the big one.
with the bishop.
Yeah.
That interfaith service was tremendous, and he spoke there too. As he puts it, before Children at the Well, I was shy, nervous, and afraid to speak my mind. After Children at the Well, I was confident, still well reserved, but I knew what to say and how to say it. Kalafala has become a leader.
He really has. He really has. And I can remember during the burrito time,
Yeah.
we talked about what they wanted to be, and he said with very confident expressions, I'm going to be a lawyer, and I think I'll be an international lawyer, but I'm not sure about what kind of law, but I'm going to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And he then described kind of some of the implications about him being a lawyer, given from where he was coming in the United States. And I don't think he might have been 16. I don't, but to hear about his progress, and it's been real determined and focused, and he's certainly built on his skills and his inclination as well. But great set of children, not children, young people. Young people.
And we have time for one more. Emily?
Oh, Emily. Yes, Emily has, she was another one who was always very quick to volunteer. And she was our lead emissary in going to the Tide Conference, in going to Nazareth, and she was down at the Clearwater. And through all of this, she really evolved from a shy child to somebody who really knows what she's about. She pursued theater in college, and I think she's doing a community-based theater now as well. And we're really looking forward to seeing her and some of the others. And we're looking forward to seeing anybody who shows up
And that
among the
date again?
alums, but I don't know exactly who's going to be there.
And that's at the Children at the Well showcase, the concert?
Yes, we're inviting everybody for.
Right. And the date on that again?
Oh, that,
April 26th.
April 26th.
2 o'clock, First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany, 405 Washington Street.
Avenue.
Avenue.
Got it.
And I'm not quite sure, but I don't think the tulips in Washington Park will be quite at bloom on that day. But you might just take a little stroll through the park and see, because that's right down where the church is.
They may be.
Maybe you'll catch a good double.
Okay, so we have about a minute left to thank both of you. It went so quickly, did you
It did.
notice?
It did. Maybe one plug. If you're listening out there and have been kind of captured by the idea of Children at the Well and the Interfaith Story Circle, I encourage you to think through your own congregations and whether you have kids who might really thrive on getting involved in the interfaith storytelling world or in Children at the Well. And you can find all the information about how that works on the website, childrenatthewell.org. There's also a trailer, right, for Stepping Toward the Lion.
Yes, there
If
is.
you want to get a little taste of that, and you can acquire the DVD and use that as a program in
Right,
your
and
own
on the
congregation.
homepage, there you can listen to 4 different Children at the Well tellers telling a story.
And for any questions, my email address is on as a contact on the website.
So there you go. So we hope you've been engaged emotionally and intellectually in the topic of storytelling, particularly the lessons of the Interfaith Story Circle and Children at the Well.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll watch us again.
Much good cheer.